Because I'm a black man, I believe in telling it like it is. Now, I told you before, the Vice President, nobody else can find me to come out here and tell you something that I don't believe in. Because I ain't going to do that. I'm not going to sell you down the river in no time. First, I'd like to say, excuse me, honey. The black man wants ownership. He want to be able to own his own things and make up his own mind.
The following political debate between Senator John F. Kennedy and Senator Hubert H. Humphrey is being presented by WCHS-TV, the Charleston Gazette, and the participating stations as a public service. Now, here is the moderator for the debate, WCHS-TV News Director, Bill Ames.
Good evening. The West Virginia primary election campaign has already been characterized by the unique and the unusual, and that tradition is being followed in spectacular and unusual fashion tonight with a face-to-face debate between Senator Hubert H. Humphrey of Minnesota and Senator John F. Kennedy of Massachusetts.
Herbert Humphrey was an unsuccessful presidential hopeful as he failed to secure his party's nominations in his 1952 and 1960 presidential bids. 15 years a senator before being called to the vice presidential role in LBJ's presidential ticket of 1964, it is arguable that his greatest political achievement was being the lead author of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It was in 1968 when Lyndon Baines Johnson made the surprise announcement that he would not run for president for a second term, where Herbert Humphrey saw his greatest chance to become president reveal itself. And just like many of today's presidential hopefuls use endorsements from popular singers, who better for the author of the Civil Rights Bill to be endorsed by than Soul Brother number one, James Brown.
You do the boogaloo, can you? Do it? Oh, you got to do it. Can you do it? You do it? You got to do it. You got to do it. Come on, Jimmy. Come on. Good boy. Hey.
I have learned that you want a government that cares and acts for the people and understands the needs of the people. And you want a government that isn't blinded by budget-balancing slogans, but rather is deeply dedicated to a balanced nation in which the pockets of depression and unemployment and poverty are erased.
Number one, in the black communities, the low-income areas, we need houses. So we don't have to stay in the dump, like I stayed in when I was a kid. Number two, we need a hospital, so we don't have to stand around and bleed to death while some other cat get work done. I mean, this is the way it is. I believe in telling like it is. I don't know no pretty words. I'm going to tell you just like I feel.
And I mean that to my friend John Kennedy as well. Richard Nixon must not be the next president of the United States. We've had too many years of caretaker government that ignores problems and avoids opportunities.
Number three, we need our own bank so we can get some money to do things for ourselves. We don't want nobody to do it for us. We want to do it for ourselves. We want the banks to be available in the black community. We don't want to go downtown. We want to do it out here. Number three, we need hotels so when our friends come to see us, they can visit us in the black community and not go downtown and stay in the white community. We want to have the things where we can enjoy.
Too many years of shameful neglect of America's needs at home and waste and loss of America's prestige abroad. We have, in fact, friends, been the victims of a no-go, go slow, not now veto administration.
Now the candidate that give me those kind of things, that's the man I endorse. I don't endorse the party, I endorse the man. All the black candidates, regardless of what party they're for, I want to vote for them, I want to endorse them because we need black people in the power structure to speak for us as well as white.
Popularity has been substituted for leadership and mediocrity for principle. Slogans have been offered in place of programs and public relations instead of genuine public service. America, yes, West Virginia, deserves a much better deal.
Thank you very much, James Brown. Let me just say in the presence of a man that I have grown to respect and admire, and a gentleman that I look to as a friend,
that what he has said to this audience here today is what I have tried to say, but not so well.
Now we have one basic problem. A conservative Republican government in Washington that is content with standing still in a changing America and a very rapidly changing world. And talk has been substituted for deeds. Little or nothing has been done about distressed industries such as coal, or depressed areas, or the problems of technological unemployment and automation, or indeed, little or nothing about the growing demands and needs of education, or the care of our elderly. The Republican administration has put on the brakes on the American economy when we should be moving ahead with giant strides.
A few moments ago, when we were in another part of this community, I said what we mean by self-determination is when the black man can have his own business and own it, when he can have his own bank and run it, when he can have his own filling station and own it, when he can have his own department store and run it and own it, when he not only has his own job where he can earn a living and make his own life, but where he can have his own piece of property and feel that he has a stake in this community. Now that's the kind of an America that I want. That's the kind of an America I want for myself. And if it's good for me, then it's good for you. And if it's good for you, it's good for me. And that's what it boils down to. And that's what James Brown has said. And this is what Humphrey, candidate for the office of president, says. And I tell this audience that if I get my chance to be your president, I'm going to work with you so that you can have what you need for yourself as Americans, as black people, but above all as Americans. And you can be assured of it.
For my generation, it is strange to see a major political candidate for president stand next to and embrace a black entertainer calling for federal support for black banks, black business, and the black economic structure independently. But here we see President Herbert Humphrey doing essentially just that, even if it's in words only, something that is unimaginable in the age of inclusive politics. But the principle that black people are not a voting monolith is seen in the 1968 election as clear as it is in today's election. Even in this era of black power, there are some saying that James Brown was sold, S-O-L-D, brother number one, and he was doing what many black people fear every election, selling the black vote to a party that has no intent to do anything of substantial change for them.
Now, there's a lot of black men in here, and I don't mean to, not talk to other people, but this is important. Our black men, we got to get them out to vote. That's number one. Kamala's opponent promised a lot of things last time to the black community that he did not deliver on. And we got to make sure we help black men understand that. So that's why I'm here, to make sure I help black men understand. First, get out and vote, and then vote for the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
If one were to compare the appeal being made by Magic Johnson here in 2024 to James Brown in 1968, the clear contrast is that James Brown has laid down a list of things that he wants from the political candidate of which he is endorsing, and he is quite clear in the things that he's asking for. What is noticeably absent in the appeal from not just Magic Johnson, but a whole list of A, B, C list, etc., variety of celebrities in the black community, is that there is no request for anything except this is the person that you're supposed to vote for. For black men, we're told simply, if you don't vote for the person that everyone else is voting for, then you're doing your race, your group of people a disservice. But if you go back to 1968, some 50 years ago, even James Brown, with his list of demands, was still called a sellout. Even with a clear list of demands, showing that even then, black people were not a voting monolith. And to fast forward 50 years later, remove the policy request, and still have the demand to a group of black people that are not a voting monolith is a recipe for voting failure. And maybe it is desperation that can be smelled from certain people in certain parties as they continue to trot out a list of celebrities without a distinct policy for black men in particular. And it's making them nervous. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Catch you next video. Take care, guys.